Dare to be Bold is brought to you by J.Forks Designs lifestyle accessory brand. Here at J.Forks Designs, Dare to be Bold is more than our motto, it's our way of life. For our podcast series, we are interviewing people who live boldly. I'm the host, Casey Forks. Today we got to sit down with Megan and Annette, the two amazing minds behind the apparel line Gina's Graphic Tees and the retail store Annette's Touch of Class in New Waverly, Texas. Welcome everybody to today's edition of Dare to be Bold podcast by J.Forks Designs. We are here in New Waverly, Texas with Megan and Annette at Annette's Touch of Class, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we got it. All right.
Yes,
this place, first of all, is amazing. I know you guys can't see it yet, but we'll have some pictures scattered throughout. So thank you both so much for having us here today.
Thank y'all.
This shop is just incredible. Can you tell us just kind of a little bit about it, just in general?
So in general is basically we have a full service soda shop. We do lunch, ice cream, fountain sodas as well. We also have a wide variety of boutique items, a home decor, gifts, a little bit of everything, trinkets and knickknacks galore.
If you have not been here, you must come. It's amazing. So we're in New Waverly. How did this all transpire? How did you end up here?
Well, after traveling for years and years and years, Maggie's done this since she was 15, and as she grew up and obviously married and started having her family, we realized that we needed to get off the road, and so we had started kind of thinking of maybe having a destination store. It was behind our home for years, and people always wanted to come shop there. We opened the shop up once a month, kind of did a little yard deal, and everybody would come out and visit our shop there. And so we had thought, we're here every day anyway because we produce and manufacture our own t-shirt line, which is our Gina line. And so this would give an opportunity for us being here anyway to open our doors and let people come in. So we started thinking about it and decided that we picked New Waverly, obviously because first of all, commercial taxes were huge where we were in Montgomery County. We have roots here. My husband's grandmother had the first restaurant here. And we wanted to be on 45. We figured there's 150,000 people that pass us every day. So we needed to make it something that was a wow factor for people to even want to stop. And so we decided that we would create a destination store. That's where the soda shop came in, as well as all the other items we collected for the store for 12 or 13 years. I would find it in Maggie's imagination, the sky's the limit, and she would actually put it into place. We bought our land like 8 years ago and held it until we were ready. And then once we got ready, we just took the dive and started creating this vision that we had.
Well, you definitely nailed the wow factor. It is. It's so amazing.
Thank you.
So let's backtrack a little bit. You said you started this 15 years ago, and it started at your home, out of your home. So what are kind of the roots of this?
So we started when I was 15. My mom had a full-time job at the oil company, and obviously I was a teenager, like any other teenager, rebellious. And my mom figured it was a way for me to have to spend time with her instead of having an excuse to go somewhere else, and it gave me the opportunity to make some money and taught me obviously a lot of valuable lessons along the way. I mean, most people don't ever get to experience some of the things that I've experienced.
Right.
It's been a blessing.
Yeah, and it's really taken off for you guys.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. God has been very good to us. We owe all the glory to Him. When we started this is not where, if this is where you told us we would be, we would have probably never seen this vision. But along the way, her and I just, each one of us have our strengths and our weaknesses, obviously, and together we just made an awesome team. And so where my downfall is, her strengths are. And so God blessed us in that aspect of it, that we could work together and make something happen that we really didn't know that we even had the gift to do. And
right.
So,
and what a cool thing to be able to work together and be able to do that.
Yes, ma'am.
You guys ever struggle a little bit with
yes,
that?
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am. There are days where it is, when you look back and how we got started was to create that communication. As she grows up and realizes her strengths now are starting to change, and her gifts that she has, or her ability is really beyond just here, and so sometimes there is a struggle when change starts happening and God starts moving in a different direction. There's always uncertainty, but faith is what always brings you to the light, to know that everything is going to be okay.
So I want to come back to the store for a second. You guys have your own t-shirt line, correct? Called
Gina.
Okay, and tell us a little bit about Gina.
Gina is what I called my mom instead of mom. I called her Gina. I'm not really sure where that came from. From what I can remember, a lot of times you're in a store and everyone says mom, and you get the deaf ear, like you're still talking to the back of her head.
Right.
When I said Gina, it was immediately she knew I was talking to her, and that's just kind of where it took off. So when we named it, it was Gina. And then later on, I think someone came up with the tagline, Girls in Action.
Love it.
So.
We were actually talking a little bit before we started this about the clothes, the Gina line that you can buy here, and then it is carried elsewhere.
Yes, so one of the newer branches as far as our wholesale division goes, that's something that we are constantly growing and expanding on and being innovative in the industry since we've done it for over a decade now. We've decided to move in with the Remedy Group. They're a large representation for us at Dallas, Atlanta market, and they also travel the roads as well to call on stores. So we expanded our line to where they have full exclusivity to most of our Gina shirts, actually all of them, over hundreds of designs. And then we have our own signature shirts that we will retail solely for Annette's that will be available at the Houston Rodeo, on our website, shopatoc.com, and through all of our social media outlets and things like that for Annette's.
You mentioned earlier when we were talking too that there was a point where you left your job in the oil industry, right?
Yes,
so, how did that had to be a scary endeavor, and just what were you kind of feeling when all that transpired?
Actually, I was mortified. There's no other way to express it except that when Megan and I had started this, we were just selling jewelry. You know, we did little craft shows and things like that. We'd go to Harwood, buy some jewelry, split the money. She got half of it, the other half went back into our inventory. My boss was wonderful. They worked with us. I took a lot of my vacation days, or I worked overtime to take days off so that we could leave on certain days. And that's when we kind of started implementing little flea markets and stuff. When we were at a flea market, we ran into a line that was a hand-painted leather line. I ordered a pair of shoes for myself and had a little cowgirl on them. And oddly as it was, this little Chinese man had called me and said, he really liked the design I had picked and wanted to know if I would be interested in helping him with some Western designs on this line. Western is my background. My dad and my brother both all rodeoed, and I was like, sure, I would love to. And so we met with him, and it took us a while. All the cowboy hats were folded up, and so sombreros and stuff. So we worked on that for quite some time. And so we started off with grapes and all kinds of fruit on shoes. And so we started selling these in Canton. That kind of started that ball rolling, was we had shoes along with our little jewelry stuff. And so I would go on Thursdays and take 2 days once a month, and then Maggie would sometimes come up on the weekends and help. And at this time, were you still in school or were you out of school?
I was still in school.
Still in school. I know she spent every birthday at Dickens on the Strand, bless her heart, but Isabella's jewelry chest selling jewelry. But anyway, our hand-painted leather line had kind of started evolving, and we sold them fairly reasonable. And then we did that for about a year, and then we landed the Nutcracker, which was a huge.
And then the Nutcracker.
No, Nutcracker was first. Because I tried Houston Rodeo, we couldn't get into the Houston Rodeo, but they had a booth at the Nutcracker. And so I set up this little 10 by 10 booth by myself, and OMG, I called my sister-in-law. I was like, you gotta take off work tomorrow. I mean, I'm by myself, and it was like crazy. And so I had really prayed hard to God, because things had started transpiring during this time as to what are we supposed to do? I mean, this is like, all these things are happening, and I'm not really sure. This is not what I had ever I didn't know somebody was going to contact me about this leather thing. And so we started designing our leather, and it just took off. And so after the Nutcracker, I had said, I don't know where we're supposed to go from here, but it's time I'm going to have to start making a decision with my job in here. And so I said, I just prayed really hard, and I said, God, if we could get into the rodeo, I feel like that might be a sign for me to say, that's huge, that's 21 days or something. I'll have to make a decision at that point. And but I had been denied numerous times. And so the rodeo just happened to have a booth there, and they came by one night and they said, have you ever thought about doing the rodeo? And I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, it was like God just walked in and said, you know what, we've got a place for you. And that was my answer. And so I knew then that He was with me. And so I went back to work, and I told the guys, I said, I think it's time that I make a decision. And they were very kind and said, I tell you what, how about for this year, we we'll contract you out and we'll use you as consultation. My job was a very limited job. And so I consulted with them for about a year, off and on throughout this time period. And during this time, change began to take. One door opened, and I knew at that point, God, this is where we were supposed to be. And I took the leap of faith, and we never looked back.
Yeah. Was it nice, I'm guessing, having that year or two of being able to consult just with the transition, or did that make it difficult just...
Yes and no.
Yeah.
There were times where I felt like maybe I should just go back and work full time, because there was a lot of uncertainty. I mean, our house was turned upside down, literally. We had our whole front living room was racks and racks and racks of shoes. We shipped out boxes. Our whole living room was covered in boxes. We were working out of our home. The kids' room, I mean, everything was just upside down.
It was a warehouse.
It was a warehouse. And I felt like the consumption was taking over. I worked until 4 o'clock in the morning because in order to interact with overseas, they're working at that time. And it was an art institute overseas that I was having to work with, design with. And my husband was constantly like, are you going to come to bed? You're working yourself to death. And it was like, I just put in hours and hours and hours and just late nights and late nights and late nights. And I can remember getting off of work and loading my trailer and my truck and headed to Canton and sleeping, literally pulling over in a truck stop to try to catch a couple of hours before I got to Canton to start setting up, because I was by myself until she could get there. So there were a lot of times, where I would sit there in that truck and I would think, are you an idiot? I mean, what are you going to gain from all of this? Okay. I really didn't know. I mean, there were times where I just felt like, I really don't know what I'm doing. But I know that the time that we had was enjoyable. It was a time that you get out of your dress clothes and you go to Canton and you sweat like there's no other tomorrow. I called that soul cleansing time, because literally you were soaking wet. And sometimes there's nothing like working really, really, really hard and going home and taking a bath and feeling like you actually accomplished something today. And so physical labor to me sometimes is an out of stress. It's a stress relief. And it was a totally different world for us, and we controlled it. And to me, that was challenging, and we enjoyed that. And so I only consulted for about 6 months, off and on. It was very limited. And then it just kind of faded out, and it was just a thing of the past.
Well, that's a really great story. It's, I mean, not that people like hearing about struggles, but people like to be able to hear about overcoming struggles.
That's why I say it's not all. I mean, and again, Megan and she spent every birthday at Dickens on the Strand. I can remember there were times we did the Alligator Festival. Megan can write a book on all the festivals that we did, and we look back and just laugh. I mean, we did the Sandcastle Festival. We did every festival in the state of Texas. There were times where from September to December that she was somewhere and I was somewhere, and we were doing 2 shows a weekend. And I mean, we were home very little.
This year we did
40.
I think it was 40 something shows in 1 year.
Yeah, in 1 year. That was including Dallas Market. That was including Canton. That was including.
I mean, luckily,
literally.
We were very fortunate to have a very supportive family. It takes a lot of sacrifice on their end too. My dad, my brother. My brother was a senior in high school that year. So I know it was a trade-off for everyone.
It was.
But I feel like everyone has also reaped some rewards in some form or fashion.
Oh, no doubt. Our whole family has been blessed from our business and from our route laying, and like she said, everyone paid a price for it. And no one ever held a grudge for that. Everyone has always been very supportive of Maggie and I, even her brother. She's always been kind of in the limelight and stuff, and sometimes they've always been kind of low. And but I think he's always known that was God's gift for her too, and that everyone has a purpose for that.
And I'm sure they're so proud of everything you guys
No doubt. Oh, no doubt. I mean, when you hear
your
your family talk about you, we talked one time, my brother, he as a PRCA cowboy, and they were rodeoing. When we first had gotten our start, we had our little t-shirts and our little hand-painted shoes, and our concept was, if we're going to sell the shoes, we need to sell the whole outfit, okay? Because there's nothing like them coming in and go, that's a really cute top, where'd you get it?
Right.
I was like, oh no, that's not going to work. We got to have our own shirt now, okay? Because if we're going to make a living, we want to be able to sell everything that we have on. Okay, it's a one-stop shop. Come in, earrings all the way to the toes, and we did that, and it worked. And but he called me one time from Colorado, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, you're not gonna believe this." And I was like, "What?" He was like, "Me and the boys, we stopped at this little bitty town in this little gas station, and we walk in, and this lady has on your T-shirt and your shoes." And he was like, "That's my sister." And I was like,
gosh.
Oh, how funny. I go, you don't think of it like that. It's just a T-shirt and some shoes. But for him, it was like he was so proud that all the way in Colorado, out in the middle of nowhere, And so I realized, I thought, that says something. That makes you feel
Absolutely.
good, that he was just as proud.
Yeah.
So I think we have both felt those moments where it's
Yeah.
like, that's yours, and you kind of look back and you go, yeah, but I really didn't think of it
actually
like
did
that.
that.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't think of it like
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah, we're very humbled in that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people can let it go to their head or,
Right.
get overly confident in what they do. I mean, it can all change tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
The whole concept can change tomorrow. Something can happen and someone can get sick or whatever. And you have to be willing, once again, to adjust and evolve with that.
Well, one of our challenges this year has been extremely challenging for us. The road construction
Yeah.
has put such a damper on our activity. And, again, those are things that you can't anticipate and you can't prepare for that.
And have no control
and
over.
no
Yeah.
control over it. They don't want to work with you.
Yeah.
They don't. And so you never know where God's sending you, and so we're constantly open to that. And again, all of our glory goes to Him because without Him, we would be nothing. And like she said, we're very humbled by that and very prideless when it comes to failure and things that happen. Those are just things that are creating another milestone for you. You just don't know what it is yet, and so you can't be afraid.
Well, and I think it's great too, just because you guys clearly are, when something, an obstacle shows up, you find a way around it.
You have
And I think
to.
You have to.
it's very admirable.
You can't just
have
quit,
to be a problem
and that's hard.
Yeah.
There are some times where, I spend a lot of time on my knees thinking, I'm not really sure what's supposed to happen, and I don't know. It's very scary. It creates uncertainty for you on a daily basis. But to me, if you take one day at a time, who knows what tomorrow will be.
Yeah.
And so when the big picture gets a little overwhelming, that's all we have is faith and hope. And I think that's where you have to hold on to and just say, there's a plan. I just don't know what it is yet.
Yeah. So what advice would you guys give to anyone who's watching or listening right now that is thinking of setting out on their own and trying something new, whether it be creating a retail shop or, it could be any number of things. What would you say to them just to encourage them?
Always have a plan in place. I mean, obviously, be realistic in your dreams. This is not a hobby. This is a job. And it's like a marriage or anything else. It's not going to be easy and it's not going to all transpire overnight. You don't meet someone, well, some people do meet someone one day and get married the next, but most of the time you have that whole period of build up till you get to that point. And I feel like a business is kind of ran the same way. And there's going to be struggles, and how you are capable of adjusting to those struggles will really depend on your success.
So part of it would be attitude as well.
Attitude. That's anything. That's
Yeah.
in life in general. I mean, your perspective and attitude can make or break anything. I
Absolutely.
mean, there's an upside and a downside.
Maggie hit it on the nail. You'll work harder and you'll work for less than anyone that you have that works for you. But with that comes the reward of not for just you. That at one time we employed 22 employees. That is a gift. That speaks volumes to
Right.
me that you can help someone else.
Yeah.
There was a couple of things that were through this whole transition through everything that we started with. When I dove off from my job of making a 6-digit income to having 2 kids in college, thinking, I'm scared to death. God, what am I supposed to do? Without change, there would be no butterflies. One of my very favorite sayings. And a dear friend of mine said when I started this is, they can't take your birthday. And I look back at some of the people who have made Thomas Edison and the light. If he would have quit after the first time or the second time, we would have no electricity. So failure comes, but with that also you learn from that.
Right.
So it's not going to always be an easy walk. If it was, everyone would do it. And that's what separates you from a lot of people, is knowing that you have a drive. It prides me to know that I raised her to be independent and to have a drive and do. God has given you a gift, and whatever that is, the hardest part sometimes is feeling like you always want to say, for your children, you always want the best for them.
Right.
You want them to flourish and sometimes you feel like you have a little butterfly that sometimes maybe has something more than just what she has, and so you always worry in the side that you hope that she has gotten her full potential in life too.
Right.
And so there's a lot of things that you sacrifice for that, and she has 3 beautiful children of her own now, and you never know where God is taking you to the next level. But I do feel that He has given us both the gift and the ability. The sky's the limit. I mean, she can do, if she were to leave tomorrow, she can do anything in this whole world that she wants to. And I feel that deep confidence. She may fail the first time, but she will succeed the second
When I
time.
think anyone has that within them, it's just being confident enough in yourself and your abilities and
Tapping
knowing
into
what
it.
those are
Right.
and flourishing on those things. And everyone's abilities are different. Some are better at public speaking, some are better at merchandising,
Right.
some are better at
That's definitely
making
true.
silversmith. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone has a talent, and only person that knows your talent is you.
Right.
Whatever that is, from singing or anything.
Finding it and tapping
And it's
into
just-
it.
Right, and
And
it's like
investing in
you
that.
had said, just playing off each other's strengths and
That's
weaknesses, and
exactly
knowing
right.
what those things
Okay.
are, and being able to work together with them.
And always being open-minded to suggestions
Right.
and criticism.
Right.
No one knows everything. So.
I think that's huge too. I think a lot of people get stuck or don't want to hear ways that they can improve.
Positive
and
criticism is
it's
huge. And
right?
you have to not wear your feelings on your shoulder.
Right.
And you have to know, I mean, I always ask our customers, even at market sometimes, I'll be like, there's 28 of us in here, what made you come here? Or, when people come in our door, you want to talk to them about their story or something. I think that's always a chance to be able to inspire or speak to someone, let them inspire you.
Right.
And like she said, everyone has a gift. It's just tapping into it.
Right.
And sometimes it's being scared to death to tap into it. And the scariest thing I think for most people is failure. But it's okay to fail. I mean, because with failure comes learning
Right.
and wisdom. And those are the gifts.
And like many things, the first time it happens and you get back up and you continue on, the stronger you are.
I mean, like, look
you
at
know,
just like riding a bike
Right.
or anything else. We've all fallen and
Right.
skinned our knees and cried and had the rashes on our hands, but we all got back on the bike.
Right.
So,
And when a door closes, another one always opens.
Right.
And we just don't know what behind it. And that's what's scary.
And I think it's being willing to take advantage of those or
No doubt.
seizing the opportunities that then are made
Exactly.
available.
Yes, and network with people and learn from them.
Right.
I'm huge about asking people that are successful. How did you get to success? What do you feel was your inspiration or what? That's important. You can learn from someone else and never have to skin your knees
Right.
if you would just listen and be open-minded to receive it.
Right.
And not be I know it all and I know how to do. No, it's like every day is a learning experience, and there's always going to be somebody that throws a wrench in your road, and you're going to be like, okay, now what do I do?
Well, and learning too from other disciplines of life, I think, is huge, or areas of employment or things. You
Yeah.
can learn so much from
yes.
other areas, even than just in your own
Right.
world. So,
Very true. Very true.
is there anything else you would like to share with our listeners or watchers today?
I think everyone should dream big and pursue anything that you feel that you have a gift for. The sky's the limit for all of us, and He wants us all to succeed at something. And if you have something that you have a passion for, don't be afraid. I mean, the worst thing that can happen is failure, but you'll learn from that, and the next time you'll know better what not to do.
Thank you guys so much for having us.
Thank y'all for
It's been
coming.
Such a great experience. I
Thank y'all
appreciate
so
it.
much.
That was Megan and Annette from Gina's Graphic Tees and Annette's Touch of Class. We strongly encourage everyone to make a trip to New Waverly, Texas and visit their incredible store. For more information, you can visit their website at www.shopatoc.com, on Instagram at Annette's_Gina_tees, and on Facebook at Annette's Touch of Class. Our next podcast will be available on September 20th, and we are sitting down with Mario Guajardo, the founder of Richter Goods, an apparel company that is both designed and produced in San Antonio, Texas. Dare to be Bold is a branded podcast from J.Forks Designs. This episode was produced by me, Casey Forks, Jenny Forks, and Courtney Cobb. Courtney Cobb mixed this episode. You can find Dare to be Bold on SoundCloud and iTunes or watch on YouTube. Do us a favor and help spread the news about our show. You can also find us at jforksdesigns.com. I'm Casey Forks. Thanks for listening.